Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going over the if, elif, and else statements in C. I should have came out with this earlier, but I just messed up. Not even going to try and make an excuse. I messed up. Was supposed to have released the video earlier. Apparently it got deleted. Anyways, regardless, here's the video. Better late than never, right? Anyways, the if statement, elif statement, and else statement all test conditionals. Well, the else statement does not do any tests, but the if and elifs do. So, how do we test things? Well, first we need some variables. So, let's go in here and let's make a couple variables. We'll make integer x equal 5, integer y equal 10. Now, let's say we want to test if x is less than 10. Or if x is less than y. And if it is, then we want to print out x is less than y. So if x is less than y, what we're going to do is make a left bracket and a right bracket, or curly brace, which just says that we want to execute everything in these curly braces, and we'll get into that later, exactly what those mean. Then we'll just say printf x is less than y. Alright, now let's say maybe x isn't less than y, so we want to test if x is greater than y just in case. What we would do, because we already have this if statement, we wouldn't say if x is greater than y. What we would do is say else if x is greater than y, which basically says if the original if statement is not true, go to this. And it'll go down the order of all the else if statements, because you can have an infinite amount of else if statements. It'll just keep going down in that order until it finds one that's true, and then it will execute it. So else if x is greater than y. And just to stick with simplicity, we're going to have this just print out x is greater than y. Alright, but what if x is equal to y? Neither one of these says if it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. It kind of leaves it out. Well, that's why there's the else statement. If both of these evaluate to false, we will be able to execute a third statement. Now, in programming, the best thing to do is always make sure that the else statement covers as many things as possible. So, for example, in games, you'd have an if statement for moves, for example. If you're playing World of Warcraft, the game would probably do something like, if they press W, go forward. If they press S, go backwards. If they press A, go left. If they press D, go right. And if they press anything else, so any other key on the keyboard, it's not going to move. Instead, it's going to go to a separate action. And that's what that's what an else statement is. So we will do else, and then just brackets. We don't need to put a conditional because we're not testing for anything. It's just everything else that's there. Else printf x is equal to y. Now before we test this and start making it like execute each one of these blocks, I want to cover a couple things. If you have an else statement, you have to have an if statement. And the if statement has to come before the else statement, otherwise you will get a compiler error. Also, you have to have an if statement before you have an else if statement. Same reasons, because you can't have an else if or an else if you weren't testing something in the first place. Now, an if statement, it can be anywhere you want, because it starts it. You can have 3 if statements back to back. It doesn't matter, but you have to have an else if statement after an if statement, and you have to have an else statement after an if statement. And you can have as many else ifs as you want back to back, as long as the first one follows an if statement. Also, you don't have to have just one statement in between these brackets. You can have as many as you want. So for example, we could say like x plus plus, which would increment x by 1, so at the end x will be equal to 6, and we can actually print out the value down here just to show you guys, because that's something else about if statements that's pretty cool. So let's compile and run this. But before we do, what's going to happen? Well, y is equal to 10 and x is equal to 5. The first thing we test is x less than y? If this statement in the parentheses evaluates to true, so if it is a true statement, x is less than y, we will execute these two statements in between these code blocks. In this case, 5 is the value assigned to x, and 10 is the value assigned to y, so this will evaluate as true, and we will print out x is less than y, as well as increment x by 1, and then down here we'll print out the value of x just to show that it executed both of these statements. So compile and run, and we get x is less than y, 6, which means that both the statements were executed. Awesome, everything's working out fine. Now let's take x and make it 15. Compile and run, and we get x is greater than y, x is 15, which means it only did this statement because we never told it to increment x in the elif. Now let's make x equal to 10, which is equal to y. Now our else statement will be the one executed, and it will say x is equal to y, 10. X is equal to y, 10. Everything worked out fine. So there you go. We have now gone over how to use if, elif, and else statements. Congratulations, this allows you to do so much more, especially when you use these with the for loops and while loops that we've already gone over. And in some of those examples I already used if statements, which, yeah, that's kind of where I messed up. This video was supposed to come out earlier, but apparently I never uploaded it, and I went to go check if I had made the video, and pretty sure I did, but I'm also pretty sure I deleted it. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you'd like to see future videos, press the subscribe button above or below, wherever it is nowadays. Comment with any questions or comments. Favorite the video if you really want to help, and feel free to PM me if you have any other type of question that you just don't want to put in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you later.